our survival. And putting it all together for us is the star of Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. Jim Fowler will be here. And helping us out today are three popular actresses who've devoted much of their lives to the preservation of wild animals. Please help me welcome Jim Fowler, my good friend Betty White, the eternally gorgeous Stefanie Powers, and General Hospital's sexy leading lady, Christina Melandro. Too much.
Is this the order?
No, this is just swell.
Yeah. I think I got out of line because I always
don't get out of line.
I get out of line at the top of the head.
One of the things I love about you most is you always get out of line. How did you, I want to know from everybody where your interest in animals started.
Well, I'm glad it did because I couldn't be in a better situation right now, could I? Look at this.
How do you like the odds,
Pretty good odds,
I can't believe it. I knew it would pay off someday. But, well, I used to work with lots of animals when I was growing up, and I had some close association with things like falcons and eagles.
But you were a jock. You were headed to be a jock, weren't you?
I did a lot of baseball playing. Yeah, I was starting to be a baseball player.
And gave it up to pursue all of it.
You know, I've worked with just about every kind of animals since then. But I think it was also the adventure involved. You know, the adventure in the outdoors is one of the things that hooked me, and I hope that's still possible for everybody out there.
Yeah.
Like it was for me.
Yeah, and your new book is...
Aha.
Well, tell everybody about it.
Glad you mentioned it, because yes, I've done my first book, and it's called Jim Fowler's Wildest Places on Earth. And these are the places where there aren't very many people.
To go lots of pretty pictures?
There are 11 locations, and it's a compilation work by a lot of people. There are photographers who have added to it, also some writers, but I write all the lead-ins and tell adventures about my anecdotes with different animals.
Yeah.
But these are some of the really wild spots on the face of this earth that are still left.
Yeah. Where did your love of animals start?
In the womb. I was an only child, and my mother and father were so disappointed when I only had 2 legs, and I looked like everybody else's baby. They expected a litter and something soft and fuzzy. And we had a cat, Toby, this wonderful marmalade cat. That I think if Toby hadn't approved, I'd have been sent right back to the hospital. But fortunately, Toby accepted me, and it's been that way ever since.
And it's just been ever since?
Yes.
Where did it start, Stefanie?
Well, Betty's mother didn't know because I was in the womb next to her.
It's just been ever since you were little? You just loved animals?
Yes, ever since I was little, but then I had the amazing experience of I felt I rescued him. I bought a bear, a baby Malaysian sun bear, in a pet shop, which is, of course, the wrong place for wild animals.
Now, when did you do this?
I bought it many years ago, and I brought it home. I was married at the time, and I remember how I broke the news to my husband. We were standing in the kitchen, and I sort of said, "You like bears, don't you?"
How would you like one in the kitchen?
I said, "You like bears, don't you?" He said, "Well, I guess I do. I mean, as well as any other animal." But it was a very, very small animal, and unfortunately there was a huge trade, and there continues to be, wrongly, a huge trade in wild animal babies. It's a horrible thing that's going on. It is destroying the family structure of gorillas and orangutans and most of the Southeast Asian primates and greater primates, and of course a lot of the cats. And it's something that none of us encourage. And
did you know this when you bought the bear? Did you buy it to rescue it?
I did, because I knew that. I mean, I'd always made a very long and elaborate commitment to the animals that I had, because my stepfather bred racehorses, and many years ago, when I was a little one, and I wanted a horse like most children, he took me to the abattoirs where they make horse meat. For dog food and all.
No.
And it was a hard lesson to learn, but he showed me the little ones and the big ones and the old ones and the pretty ones and the ugly ones that were all on their way to being chopped up.
Oh, no.
And so he taught me that it's not a frivolous commitment that you make with one of these creatures.
Yeah.
If you take the responsibility on, it's not a toy, it's not a plaything. You're taking on this life, and it must be a lifetime commitment.
Yeah. Where did your love start, Christina?
Well, I made my first trip to Africa. I was lucky enough to go several years ago. Fell in love with the land, with the animals. And when I came back, I mean, I discovered that there was a major poaching problem. So I called the African Wildlife Foundation on a whim and just said, is there something I can do? I'm Christina Melindra, I'm on General Hospital. Is there something I can do about it? And so we sort of put together 3 episodes on General Hospital, and we talked about the poaching of the elephants. And so that's sort of how it started.
Which is what your little button says under your hair there, huh?
Right. Only elephants should wear ivory.
Yeah.
It's very important to know, I must, if I can interrupt, that although since Richard Leakey has been the, I live in East Africa. It's
Do
my
you live there
home
all the
base.
time now, sort of?
Well, more or less.
Wow.
And
There
since,
goes the neighborhood.
since this is a dangerous seat. But since this good work has started, there's a lot of poaching which has stopped, but it's never anything that we can turn our back on. One can't say, oh, well, that's done. Now what's the next?
Yes.
Because it's an ongoing thing.
Right.
I work with the Diane Fossey Gorilla Fund through Morris Animal Foundation, and we were making such progress with the mountain gorillas, and the number was up, and now Rwanda went to war, and finally they had to evacuate Karasoki, pardon me, and one of our major big silverbacks, Marithi, was shot, and it just breaks your heart. Did you know Marithi?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it just
You
breaks
have they know that, these are friends. I mean, somebody snickered when they said, did you know Marithi?
Marithi.
Marithi. I don't know her.
Do you
Him.
live?
Yes. We're going to bring out
He would have liked you. He would have liked you if he'd seen you.
What are we going to see now? What is a bush
Well, you know,
baby?
I'm interested, frankly. I agree that we have to regulate, but I don't think we should over-regulate, because the big challenge today is to make people care. We've done a lot of the research. We've learned about the needs of animals, but we need to make people love things. Stephen Jay Gould, who's the famous philosopher from Harvard, said if you don't love something or if it doesn't have a value, we're not going to save it.
And the
So we can
environment.
talk about
their
people
habitat.
not having things in captivity, but the big point is destruction of habitat. We got to make the world care about where these animals are living in the wild. The way to do that is with education. And I'm afraid if we don't look into the eyes of something like that little tiger you saw, we're going to have that out in a minute and really show you its personality. I really think if we make all that impossible through regulation, that we're going to have people that are going to go to shopping malls. They have no connection with the natural world. It's already happening.
But you know, you
So
have
we've
something
got
to
some
bring
other
out
things
to
to show
show us
you,
that we're going to love right
I want to
this
show you
minute, huh?
several that have been raised for education, which is, in my opinion, the only justification of having an animal in captivity.
Okay, now I've never heard of a bush baby in my
you
life.
wouldn't.
Yes.
And by the way, it's our intent on all of this. This is not a stunt or anything. These are animals that are essentially exhibiting their natural behavior in front of us.
Okay.
And they're things that are not going to be stressed in front of people.
Is that
I
bush
hear a
baby
little-
making noise back there?
Well, one of the problems is,
Oh my God, look how huge.
take a look at this, huh? Christy has got,
Oh, dear Gus.
here you go, come on. That's good. There you go. Now don't touch it, but I'm going to do, I know you all will love this. We're going to see about the banana, but I know if we put a few, I know, Stefanie, you've done this. Could you put some mealworms in there, and let's put a couple right here.
Don't touch him, Stefanie.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, I used to raise
Now
these
watch,
worms for mine.
watch this, huh?
They're very,
Isn't that delicious? You want to hand some plates out to some of the other people there with some mealworms in them?
I think we need a little marinara sauce with them.
But you know what? You know how many people have looked into the eyes of one of these little bush babies? They're so rare, hardly ever been seen before. And this is a primate. It's an incredible animal. I don't know if you all know how lucky you are.
Where do these live?
These are found throughout Africa, but right up where Stefanie has sort of hung her hat is right up in that area. These are found. This is the giant caligo. Look at the eyes. But there's so many things. When a kid looks at this and starts looking closely, look at the face, look at the eyes. It's nocturnal, right?
Yes.
And it is amazing because it is related to the monkey families and those animals. But
Jim, do you know what you
Yeah.
do by bringing
Right.
these guys out here? I think my first real commitment to loving animals was seeing something up close like
Right.
this. Not to want to own it, not because
That's
I
right.
understood that,
That's right. No,
but just to see it And by bringing this on, you're turning on so many people at home.
Yeah, it's looking at the monitor, by the way.
I know, he's looking at himself. We have to take a little break, but you're going to see so many animals today that you'll probably think we're starting our own zoo. Up next, we have a serval cat that can jump 15 feet in the air. And later, I have a really big furry surprise. It is an owl,
see, this is the
so
way you
don't go
handle
away.
an
We'll be
animal.
back.
You use its natural behavior.
When you take on a 20-foot anaconda, you want to be ready for anything. What I wasn't ready for was the deep hole in the middle of the pond. And all of a sudden, I was in over my head. Then the anaconda had the advantage because my leverage was gone and I was fighting the huge reptile in its preferred element, water.
To have Mutual of Omaha Insurance.
Yeah, welcome back. If you are an animal lover, then this is the special show for you today. It's a virtual Noah's Ark, and here with us are Jim Fowler from the long-running show Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, Emmy Award-winning actress Betty White, the beautiful Stefanie Powers, and General Hospital's leading lady Christina Melandro. We're going to see a cat now. Yeah. Do any of you work specifically with your organizations work with cats?
Yeah.
Wild cats?
The African Wildlife Foundation does, because the leopard is in big, serious trouble, too. So they work a lot with endangered species and helping them and protecting their environment.
This is one I hope that will show people why we really have to keep these cats alive on Earth. And once again, if you don't get to look at one in the eye, I'm not sure we're going to care.
Now, is this guy in trouble, the serval?
They're all in trouble because the habitat's being destroyed. And this cat is fairly specialized, and we'll all sort of be quiet. It's not that the cat will be afraid of sound, but it's a little bit of the movement. You notice that the cat's reacting very instinctively to this little feather. And these servals will actually jump in the air. You cannot believe how high these can jump. I think it'll, whoops, let's put it up here. Maybe I should hand that to you.
Oh, hello, beauty. Whoops, I didn't keep that away too well, did I?
No, that's all right. I shouldn't have let you. What you're seeing, what I wanted to show you.
Okay, that bird is dead now.
What I wanted to show you is really what a cat's all about. You know, even you'll give her a piece of meat, I think, yeah, there you go.
I think so.
There you go. Let's get that out of there. Put that on that side, yeah.
She found 2 more.
Uh-oh, she found 2 more. My God.
You're not hiding
Sorry
your
about
birds
that.
too well.
Here we go. Come on.
That's
All right, that's good. Thank you.
Good,
There. Now watch this.
The animal
Let the cat. You've got to get it a little further away. That's good. And don't get it near
don't
anybody's.
flip it in our face,
No,
Steph.
that's right.
Look at the muscles.
Put
Look at these
it under
muscles
the
go.
table
Yeah,
now
it's
because I
ready to
want to
jump.
feed it.
Every
Put it
muscle
under the
is going.
table, Stephanie. Put it under the table because I want to feed it a little bit and show you how gentle this
Now,
cat
where
is.
does the serval live?
That's good. Well, just take a look now. The cat's going to relax and sit down here. I have a feeling. And would you like
Where
to
does
bring
she
the...
live, Jim?
This is Africa, but this cat is designed for jumping. This will go 15 feet.
Long legs.
Go right up in the air. Now, look, I've never seen this cat before. But watch this. We'll see if it won't. There you go. You notice it had a little trouble finding it. They have a good sense of smell. But absolute perfect work of art, the complete combination of form and function, just like a leopard. And this cat is specialized using the front feet. That's why it was going after the feather. Jump up and hit birds out of the air.
Oh, and feed it. Oh, maybe I don't.
No, it's
Well,
looking
never
at
mind.
itself. Yeah, looking at itself. Yeah.
on the monitor.
Oh, is that
Okay, well, I think we better let it go on out
And
now.
that goes for your cat,
Yeah,
too.
that's right.
Now, are you
again-
gonna bring back my little friend from the beginning of the show now? What did
Yeah,
you
we
want
want
to
to
say
show
something
you.
else?
No, it's just that I want to make sure that the cat, we're thinking of the cat rather than ourselves. I want to let it have a break. And the little tiger will come out and you'll see a totally different animal out here now. We're going to let this cat get up here. Now look, instead of touching it, let it sort of say woof to it. In fact, Stephanie's saying hello to it.
Are you speaking cat to it?
There she goes, yeah. That's all right, she can stay on here. And we'll just let this little guy walk around and check, just like he would in the wild. Now this little cat considers us its parents. And if we're just quiet and let it walk around, can you hear that sound? That's the hello sound.
That's Stefanie, I think, actually.
That's Stefanie.
Well, look, it matches your hair. It thinks you're Mom.
We're going to have a...
Mom, it's you.
Well, look, these are obviously adorable, but I hate to tell you, they really don't make good pets.
How old is this little guy?
And that's not why we have it here. This is only 8 weeks old.
And how big, is this a he or she?
This is a...
She.
I have to look.
I believe it's a she, Jim.
I don't see anything exciting there.
That's all right, little guy.
Take a shot at 50-50 chance.
You know, this little guy really hasn't learned to walk too well, so we have.
How big is she going to get?
Well, would you believe around 300-400 pounds?
You know what I love about this animal is...
Now, let's see if it can go down. There we go.
Almost did a somersault.
When these guys are born, we had, up at the Los Angeles Zoo, we had a mother reject her litter, and there was a tiger cub about 20 minutes old.
Yeah.
And they just weren't responding. And you had this little tiger this long, but he was a little tiger. He wasn't anything else. He was just a perfect miniature. So we rubbed him. The little feet were purple. And we rubbed him and rubbed him and rubbed him, and gradually the color came back. It was the wildest feeling I've ever had in my life.
Isn't that wonderful?
To watch this little guy come back to life in your hands.
Well, you saw the serval there. Cats are programmed by instinct for 4 things: chase, attack, kill, and eat. And even your house cat, you can see this kind of behavior in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Never want to
Jim,
forget
don't you think it's important to explain what's going on with the environment of the Bengal tiger?
Absolutely.
We are, well, yeah, I want to talk about it when we come back. We have to take a break now, but we're going to look at some amazing birds of prey next, and these 2 are endangered. Look at our national symbol, the bald eagle. And later in the show, I'm going to wrestle a ferocious alligator. Yeah, right. We'll be back.
Our mistake was in walking too close to another nearby bull. If the large elephant seal had not been so slow-moving, we would have been in serious trouble.
With the most spectacular wild animal talk show I've ever done. And we've already spent a little time with a bush baby, and a serval cat, and a tiger cub. And now it's time to meet some birds of prey. And braving the safari today with me are General Hospital's Christina Melandro, Stefanie Powers, and Betty White, and Mutual of Omaha's Jim Fowler. And who is this?
Well, this is, naturally, they've named it Hootie, the hoot owl. But it's not a hoot owl. This is a barred owl. I mean, sorry, a great horned owl. I got to watch out.
Well, they could have called it horny, but that wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, horny's cute.
But this is found in one of my wild places in the book, and that's, by the way, the book's published by Time Life and Mutual of Omaha's Wildlife Heritage Trust.
Yeah.
And this is found a lot of places in the world. Notice the head can turn almost backwards. 360, right?
Yeah.
They used to say if you kept turning the owl around, it'd wring its neck off. I had an English teacher like this once. She could, boy, she could get around. But this is great. If you've never had, would somebody like to have a
Christina,
bird
do you want to do this?
Okay.
Are you into the birds, Christina?
Well, I happen to know that America is the leading exporter of wild birds.
Really?
And,
importer, yeah.
Importer.
Right.
And 70% of them die and they go straight to pet shops. And it's really a total waste.
This was an orphan that was actually raised for education, but you should have that. If you'll put your arm out like this, and I'll let Hootie stand up on it.
I like horny better, actually.
Yeah. Hey, Hootie.
Hello.
Now, you may want to take this around like that, and I'm going to turn this bird around on your fist a little bit better. That's no fair to have it not looking at you. There you go. Okay, now let's try. Let's try like this.
It sounds like it's coming from some big cavern.
Yeah, it sure does.
Good. Now if you're doing great if you just let your arm relax there.
Is he heavy?
Yeah, he's kind of heavy.
There's so many things you can teach about this owl. They're completely silent. They have a fuzz on the feather, so when the wings go out, they're absolutely silent.
What do they eat, these guys?
Well, they don't have a sense of smell, and the large female great horns eat skunks. That's one of the predators on skunks. But look at those eyes. The eyes don't move in the sockets of the skull, so they turn the whole head.
Goes all the way around.
I can take that one back.
Now, how is he doing in the wild? Is he in trouble too? Are they all in trouble?
Well, no, the great horn is very successful. You'll see these in the parks right here in Los Angeles. They're
in my trees in my
I knew you were going to say something about it.
No, I don't.
Right,
I wouldn't.
They're right around this area, and they do very well.
They have a great strategy for survival in the urban sprawl.
Yes.
They're one of the animals that has been able to adapt to mankind by adapting to the modern confinements of urban life.
Calling back and forth in my yard and then across the street, and they answer each other, and you stare and you look and you try, and unless you have a light behind them where you can see them, they just disappear while you're looking at them.
We have a hawk to show you.
You're bringing a hawk out. How are they doing in the wild?
Well, we can compare the hawk with the owl. Just hold. How's your arm doing, by the way? Can we hold it just another second?
You are buff. Good,
It's fine with me.
You notice how alert the owl is in looking at different objects? Not afraid of us at all. This one was raised. It was an orphan from the
Can I touch him? Is he gonna...
Yes, you can touch. Don't make a fast movement, but just put your hand right up on the wing, and you can feel how soft it is. Yeah. These are solitary. They don't know what it is to be touched.
Now, can the hawk come out at the same time?
The hawk. I thought we had the hawk out here. But we'll take that on out. I guess we want to take it out of the way before we bring the hawk out, huh? Okay. Now, this is a local hawk. It's one that you would find around here in California.
You hear a thing when those wings were, they were just flapping. You didn't hear a thing.
But this is nature's way of equipping the predator with a lot of advantages over its prey.
But these guys sometimes sound like taffeta when their feathers.
Nick Toth.
Easy does.
That's all right. It'll come right back up. Yeah. Nick Toth has shown this to so many school kids you wouldn't believe. Nick, how many school kids would you say?
The last 6 years alone, we've probably done about 60,000 students.
And this bird is 20-some years old, okay? And just take a look at the majesty of those wings out. Can you believe that?
Wow.
And ladies and gentlemen, we're taking a chance on losing this from the face of the earth so that our children can't see an eagle fly or a hawk fly. But there's something very majestic about that. We put it on flags. They're symbols of courage and majesty. And this, who can identify this? Anybody?
How is our bald eagle?
This is a Swainson's hawk from out west here, yeah.
How's the bald eagle doing?
Not too well, but they are making somewhat of a comeback. It is a success story in Florida. They're nesting much better, but we're pushing them out of habitat. Okay.
And isn't it pollution as well? It's these creatures are also they feed off of farm areas where they're using in many cases some polluting and fatal
and it's killing them and stuff.
But you know, once again, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife is threatening to make it impossible for me to show this to students and tell them that this needs to be saved.
But how are they going to find out?
It's because of regulation. It's because they're trying to overregulate it. And we shouldn't do that because
a film doesn't do it, a book doesn't do it, a magazine doesn't do it. You have to see the live animal.
I'm taking a break, but we're going to get our fine feathered friend out of here before dinner for our next guest. He'd be dinner for the next guy, yeah? It's alligator time. Don't go away.
Then it happened. The unexpected incident that creates those dangerous moments. The ropes were suddenly off the alligator.
And we've already seen some amazing creatures. Few compared to our next guest. Well, actually, we're going to save the alligator for the big finish here, and we're going to see some nice guys here.
Well, we're getting into reptiles, cold-blooded animals. So this
These look like cold-blooded killers.
Well, this is very gentle, actually. Oops, sorry. Heavier.
Where'd she go?
I'd like to ask somebody, somebody to sort of make sure that doesn't start walking around.
We won't let you walk around. We won't let you walk around.
But take a look at this. These are highly endangered tortoises. These are red-footed tortoises from South America.
This is Mom and Dad, yeah?
That's right. And but you know, they're fascinating because, again, they're an example of the way nature is designed an animal so it's protected.
How fast could they go if they wanted to scoot up this
Well, we're going to put them down here in a minute, but this is the payoff. Look at this. This is the...
Oh,
look at the baby.
This is the result of these two. This is the baby, and these are the parents. And it's a very rare occasion. These have hardly ever been born in captivity.
Oh, almost never,
Red-footed
I
forks.
know.
And this is an example of a private individual, Tom Minton, who has actually raised these. But, Betty, I think you might be interested to tell which is which. Could you tell which is the male and which is the female?
Well, if you can't tell on a serval, I'm certainly not going to get into this.
Well, there's a great way to do it.
How?
Okay, you see, if you can turn this one upside down slowly, notice that the carapace underneath is sort of flat. Look at this one. This is the male.
Oh,
Wait, I didn't get to see the female. The female's fat?
Guess why? Guess why?
Well, listen, if you were as busy as he's been.
Now, how many eggs do they lay? Do they lay a bunch of eggs?
They do lay a lot of eggs, about
And only one little
25 or
guy
30.
survived?
These were born at Marine World up in Vallejo, and I think they had about 30 eggs in the nest.
How soon can you tell what this little guy's going to be?
It's going to be a while, but because the carapace doesn't change when they're that small. But actually, the male with that concave carapace can breed the female successfully. Otherwise, he'd tend to fall off.
I'm putting the baby behind you now, Jim.
Oh, okay.
All right?
Is it in the box?
My buddy Jim is now going to bring out...
Let's just let those
Here we
wander
go.
around a little bit.
My favorite guy, the alligator.
Turtles have their own attitude toward life, solving world problems, and I think they'll be happy right there. This is, thank you, Tommy. Tommy's the guy that bred had these breeds. And this is another,
babe.
this is a fascinating animal, of course.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and here, let me show you how to hold an alligator, okay? Very relaxed. You notice the shake, so put one hand under there.
Yeah?
One hand back there. That's right. And the thing that's fascinating when you hold
What's your
one,
sign?
you notice how we were catching that one. The thing that's quite dangerous more is the tail than the head, because you can get right here and they can't go forward, but they can swing sideways.
Ah,
This animal also has been seen by quite a few school kids, so it's very docile.
So it's used to being handled a lot?
Yeah, and you can pass that down.
They don't feel like,
But hold it back here.
reptiles never feel like
And,
what you think they're going to feel like.
Also, never take an animal for granted. But I know you're good at holding these. Now, Stefanie's probably seen a lot of crocodiles. Uh-oh. I better take this one back. I think... Oh, you want to hold that? Yeah. I think this is a record.
Just stay here behind my trusty assistant, Jim.
I want to introduce Peter Gross.
Hi, Peter.
Peter Gross is
Hang on tight there, Peter. He's coming right
Let
away.
him come this way. Let him come this way, Peter. You hold the tail. I'll hold the head.
Who's the host of
He's
this?
going to cut that baby right out of your head. What do these guys
But
eat?
Peter is the co-host of Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, and he's done a lot of alligator capturing with me.
Fine-looking fellow and my best friend.
And Peter's the guy I send downriver to do the dirty work now, like Marlon used to send me.
What do these guys eat?
Now, this is quite unusual to have one that, what do they eat?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know when this one fed last, but actually, we're not in so much danger. This eats, in Florida, these eat a lot of crayfish and fish, but they will go after some small mammals, not really big things like the crocodile. But Peter, why don't you show the difference between this and a crocodile?
Well, the interesting thing is that we should mention is that the crocodile is a lot more aggressive. They're used to eating larger prey, animals that would come to the water's edge to feed on.
Hippos they can even take, can't they?
Exactly, and a much narrower snout here. But when you were talking about what they eat, we have sort of a current problem now in that, say, being that we've encroached in the Florida area with development, is that people are starting to feed them. And teaching them that they're being rewarded with food and they're losing their fear of people.
It's like coyotes here.
Exactly. So that's why we're having some problems. Now, the good news is, since they're protected, they're coming back very well, the populations are strong, and it's sort of a good news story.
Betty, there's something about you holding that that's just amazing. You sort of like you had it all your life.
Hey, baby. That's what she said when it came out. Hey, baby. We have to take a break, but
better
stay with us because we've got a 350-pound furry surprise coming up.
Now, is this an educational book as well? Oh, we're back. We're back with our wild animals. With us today are Jim Fallow from Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, Betty White, Stefanie Powers, and Christina Melandro from General Hospital. I was just asking if that's an educational book as well, because I feel
It's going to be
stupid.
used for education.
I feel really
yes,
stupid
absolutely.
here.
Yeah.
You're about as stupid as nobody I've ever known. You're curious, Vicki. That's the most important thing. So many of us have kind of paved over and we watch television and we do. It's the curiosity and the interest, and that's where it begins.
Yeah. And you were telling us during the break a little bit about what the William Holden Foundation is.
Well,
it's in Kenya, yes?
Yes, you know, apropos of all the animals that you've seen here, you know, some of the most important work that's being done now is done in captive breeding and the backup of the captive breeding with education. A lot of zoos are doing this, almost all the zoos in the world. And we at the William Holden Wildlife Foundation, which is sort of an offshoot of what Bill started some many years ago. Jim was there. We breed 37 species of game, but we back up the specific animal preservation with education. We have an education program that caters to our tribal people and Africans from all over Africa of all colors. And they come to us for 3 to 5 day courses and sometimes adult seminars. They're not just children.
And that's
we
most
have about,
important.
yeah, it's about 10,000 students a year coming through.
They don't know what treasure they have unless you help educate the
But
Africans.
it's not just them, you know. There are a lot of people in our own society who are either indifferent or simply unaware that anything they do might have an effect on the wild.
On the whole wild. Is this something we can do? Come down to your... Come down for a 3 to 5 day seminar?
By the way, I hope we're all animal rightists. I certainly believe in the welfare of any animal in captivity. We wouldn't dare, Nick wouldn't dare bring this out here unless this animal was very accustomed to people. But you know, less than 1% of the people in our country would ever have a chance to see this in the wild. And just take a look at that, huh?
Oh, he's magnificent.
He's 8 years old.
8 years old?
This is a jaguar. This is the real thing. This is the top predator in the rainforest.
I wish we had a field to watch him run in. How much does he weigh?
About 350 pounds right now.
350. So he's...
And this is the guy whose environment is in real trouble because we cut
the
rainforest down
yeah.
as we speak.
But are we really going to care about the rainforest if we never get to see these things that live there?
No.
You know, this animal, notice, is checking out all the smells, as Nick predicted. This is an adult, so it's going to check the territory very carefully.
How old is this guy?
8 years.
8 years old?
And
full adult.
And it's important to remember this is not an African animal.
Right.
This is an animal that comes from the Americas. This is a New World animal.
Right.
And this is a New World animal who, relatively speaking, from its cousins of the Old World, which is Africa, it is probably the most endangered of all the spotted cats.
Look at that
certainly
face.
in the New World.
And I'm often very cautious about giving the impression with a chain that this animal is being restrained. But in this case, Nick does have to have something strong because that
Well,
cat's
if he
300
gets
pounds.
spooked or startled about something, it's his protection, too, that
Exactly.
he's under control.
Yeah.
Christina, I see why you got hung up on animals.
Right. Well, you're doing a lot with the African Wildlife Foundation to save things in Africa, but that's also helping South America.
Your trusty friend Nick is being eaten by the jaguar while you're just sitting here watching.
Just a little bit.
Once again, you can see the species from...
He's picking up actually the smells of the baby tiger on me.
Yeah.
That's what he's picking up, and because he's a baby, he's a little bit more playful about the smell.
He's a baby?
No, the
No,
tiger
he's
was.
8.
Tiger
The
was.
tiger's a baby.
Yeah.
You want to come over here and try Shih Tzu?
You can see how this animal is perfectly designed for his job. They live in trees. They do most of their stalking from above.
They live in trees?
Oh, yeah.
Really? And what do they eat?
Anything they want.
How much?
Well, there's a big animal called a tapir that a lot of things they feed on because they're at the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
And you have to be a little careful down in that country if you go out and spread your sleeping bag out at night. Well, at least you have to become jaguar wise. You shouldn't stay out of the forest, but you should learn about it.
And you shouldn't leave food around. And you also, they only kill what they eat. They don't just do it for fun or just say, hey, I think I'll go out and kill me something today.
Yeah, but you should be sure you check in the tree before you put the sleeping bag out, just to be sure.
I would.
We're not finished yet. We'll be back. Don't touch your clicker.
I know what you're going to say when you see it. Oh, baby.
We're back and we're talking wild animals today, and we were having a little bit of discussion about, you said that gorgeous cat we just saw, you would have to kill 6 of those?
In order to have a coat, you have to kill 6 of those.
Yeah, and I was just saying that I thought certainly we've gotten more educated about that, but you said only here in America are we getting
Well, in the United States, there's a lot of awareness, and certainly the fashion industry has helped with fake furs and facsimile furs and all these things to show that it really doesn't look better on us than it does on the animal. But there are, and in Europe, there are pockets as well, and the English are very aware. The French are becoming more aware, but there are other pockets, unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, where they're not, and where long-haired furs taken from the wild are still being sold and worn, and some spotted animals as well.
Now, is this guy in trouble?
Well, when you see a pillowcase or a bag that moves, you got to at least look in it before you... Pillowcase that moves? Yeah, I've seen a few of those, too.
Is this a guy that's in trouble?
Well, this is one that obviously people don't really care too much about because it, I hate to say, because it doesn't look like a human. Peter, if you don't mind, give me a hand. This is a baby snake.
These guys get such bad press, and they really are not. Come on.
And let's give a little. Let's measure it. If everybody will sort of put their. There. That's good.
Golly, it's heavy.
You can see the length of it here. This is a. This is a python, and of course.
There we go.
If you'll notice, they hang on with a tail. I hate to tell you, Vickie, but sometimes the tail is more dangerous than the head because they wrap tail first.
Seems to have been my luck today.
We got the good part.
But, you know, there are lots of misconceptions about these. We're not trying to say people should necessarily like snake, but these are also part of the ecosystem just as much as the jaguar.
They're not slimy. They're not. We've equated them with horror and all that for so long.
They're so
very
strong.
clean. Some of the cleanest.
They are some of the cleanest animals in the world, and certainly the most beautiful. Look at that.
What does this guy eat?
This is hard. Well, this will eat things actually in the forest, small mammals, but
Stage
also
managers.
Birds. Yeah. And by the way, this is
Blonde bimbos.
This is a rare one. This is a Celanese python. It's similar to the Burmese. But you know, I don't know if anybody wants to have this on their shoulders, but Vickie, have you ever had? You're not at all afraid.
How much does this weigh?
Would you like to try what it feels like? Peter, if you don't mind coming over here, let's.
Yes, Peter.
It's really a wonderful experience, Vickie.
Okay.
To feel sort of hugged.
They usually wear a lot less clothing when they have these snakes on.
Holy cow! What does this guy weigh anyway, please?
It's a little heavy,
Now all
right?
you have to do is get the hips going.
What does this weigh?
Well, this is only about 60 pounds, but this will grow to be almost 250. So I don't want to strain your back with it.
Is his name Monty?
Yeah. Peter, if you'll hold it.
Sure.
I'll try to unwrap this. Uh-oh.
Okay.
There we go.
Getting wrapped up in your work there. We'll just...
Maybe we better stick that back in the bag. Okay. There we go.
Do they,
Or just put it on the table.
what is
Peter.
the bag? Just keep them quiet?
Just lay it on the table. Let's see what it does. That's even better. Yeah.
Now, what did you say he eats?
Huh? Well, this feeds on mammals. You can just pull the head up if it gets...
How often does he eat?
Well, this, you know, oddly enough, it only has to eat about once every 3 or 4 months when it's quite warm. Wow. And this will shed every time it eats. Gets a new skin. Yeah.
Every time it eats, it sheds.
Right.
We have one on the LA Zoo who's 25 feet long. His name is Baby.
That's right.
And he's this big, yes, and
Huge,
he's this big around in the middle. He's just fast.
Where do these guys live?
This is found in Asia, but they live in the forest. There is one in South America called the anaconda that lives in the water, and I had one swallow my arm up the shoulder once. I made a mistake. He caught me by the hand.
Remember you with the anaconda.
That's right. Marlon got out of it, but.
What does it feel like? A real suction as it comes in, right?
Well, they have a lot of teeth.
That helps. That helps.
Okay. Oh, she's fine. Go ahead.
Are you engaged, Stephanie, or what? We're getting to know each other very well. We used to have a boa constrictor, and just terribly intimate thing. But when I would sleep too late, I'd get the boa constrictor in bed with me. It was a very interesting alarm clock.
No wonder.
Do you like snakes, Christina, or is this a sort of...
Yeah, I saw one hanging above. It was a boa constrictor hanging above. I bet it weighed 300 pounds.
Oh, it's going up.
Oh, they can. Yeah, the big boas.
Huge.
Very heavy.
Oh, it's like, you know, everybody knows, of course, that the tongue going out is...
This is a horny boa constrictor, isn't he? He knows right where he's headed. I think it's the boa, too. You can have these for a pet, can't you, or not?
Well, you know...
You don't want to.
Well, I hate to say, if you really want to study and know what you're doing, different story. But just to have something for your ego, no, it's not good.
That's it. So many people get these for the wrong reasons, and then the novelty wears off, and pretty soon you find them in somebody's toilet down the street or something.
Yeah, that was just on the news.
That's right.
Actually, don't go away. We're going to have a final word with our guests when we come back. Look for Jim Fowler's beautiful new book, Wildest Places on Earth. It's in bookstores near you, and it's gorgeous. Betty White's the newest edition of Bob Newhart's show, Bob, which can be seen Friday nights on CBS. Stefanie Powers is currently doing the remake of her hit series Heart to Heart with Robert Wagner, and look for her on NBC. And Christina Melandro appears weekdays as Felicia on General Hospital. And who are you holding?
Vickie the little hedgehog, and he is just as cute as he can possibly be.
Yeah.
And these little guys, as you said, are endangered because they're cutting down the hedgerows in England, and they're cutting out their homes.
So read up, kids. Listen up. And thank you all. It's been really fun and really interesting. Have a great day. We love you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, I'm Magnums. If you like what I'm wearing, kids, go get it there.
Next, families of murderers speak out about how they overcame their shame and guilt on Shirley.